Have you ever looked at someone in their late 80s or 90s and thought, how are they still going strong? I mean, really think about it. They're not lifting weights at the gym. They're not following the latest TikTok smoothie trend. But somehow, they're thriving. They're sharp, they're steady, they're still full of stories, and when you see them in the morning, there's this light in their eyes. Maybe it's that older neighbor who still sweeps her porch every sunrise. Or your great uncle who insists on walking to the corner store just to grab the newspaper, even though no one really reads them anymore. It makes you wonder. What are they doing differently? Because here's the thing, living past 90 isn't just about winning the genetic lottery. It's not about never getting sick or being lucky all the time. It's about small, almost invisible habits. Especially in the morning. Those first few hours after you wake up. When the world is still quiet, the sun is gentle, and your body hasn't been distracted by the noise of the day yet, that's when the magic happens. You see, most people don't realize it, but what we do between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. shapes everything: your mood, your memory, your heart, your joints, even your chances of seeing your great-grandkids graduate. This video? It's not just another healthy tips list. This is a lifeline. A practical, real-world breakdown of 7 powerful morning habits that show up again and again in people who live long, full lives. And I'm going to walk you through each one, not just what they are, but why they work, and how to help yourself or your loved one build them into a daily rhythm without feeling overwhelmed. And when we get to habit number 6, don't blink. Because almost nobody's talking about it. But it just might be the single most underestimated habit for living well into your 90s and beyond. So before we dive in, I want you to do something real quick. Comment longevity down below if you're here because you believe that life after 70 can still be full of joy, energy, and meaning. And if you're caring for an aging parent, or you are that parent trying to take back control of your mornings, hit that like button and subscribe to Elder Talks Daily. Because every week, we break down practical, gentle, and powerful steps to help you and your loved ones thrive through every stage of aging. Now, let's talk about the first morning habit that might just predict whether you live past 90. Now, let me ask you something. When you open your eyes in the morning, what's the first thing that crosses your mind? Is it dread? Is it a mental checklist of chores? Or maybe it's just nothing. Just another day. But here's what researchers and real-life elders living past 90 are showing us: waking up with a sense of purpose, even a tiny one, is a game changer. It's not about having a career, or volunteering 7 days a week. It's about having something, anything, that gives you a reason to sit up, put your feet on the floor, and say, all right. I'm here. Let's go. Let me tell you about Mr. Harold. He's 93. Every morning, he gets up at 6:45, feeds the birds outside his window, and then calls his daughter just to hear her voice before her workday starts. That's it. That's his rhythm. But when you ask him why he's still so sharp, still so motivated, he says, because I've got something to get up for. Something that depends on me, even if it's just those little birds and that one phone call. And science backs this up. Studies from the blue zones, those rare places on Earth where people consistently live to 100, show that having a morning ritual tied to meaning lowers stress, sharpens the brain, and even supports heart health. But here's the mistake most people make. They assume if their loved one is retired or aging, they no longer need purpose. That it's okay to just drift. But that's when things start to break down, mentally and emotionally. Because without direction, without even a tiny mission, the mind starts to feel irrelevant. So here's something simple you can do: help your loved one. Or yourself, create a morning anchor. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's writing one letter a week to an old friend. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to matter. And when there's purpose, there's movement. There's joy. There's longevity. Now, purpose is powerful. But what comes next is even more biological. Because after waking up with intention, what your body is exposed to in the first 20 minutes can literally reset your internal clock. And it has everything to do with sunlight. Let's talk about that next. So you've woken up with a sense of purpose, even if it's just to sip tea and greet the morning. Now what? Here's something most people don't realize. The light your eyes and skin absorb in the first 30 minutes after waking can determine how well you sleep, how focused you feel, and even how long you live. I want you to picture this. There's an older woman named Miss Irene. She's 89, and every single morning, rain or shine, she takes her chair, sets it just outside her front door, and sits in the soft early light with her warm tea. 5 minutes. That's it. And when you ask her why she does it, she smiles and says, "The sun reminds my body it's still alive." And she's absolutely right. Scientifically speaking, that early exposure to natural light tells your brain, "Wake up, it's daytime." Your cortisol levels rise just enough to energize you naturally, without caffeine overload. Your body temperature regulates. And most importantly, your circadian rhythm, that internal body clock, is locked in. Why does that matter? Because as we age, our circadian rhythms tend to get out of sync. We start waking up at odd hours. We feel tired during the day, and wired at night. That's not just old age. That's biology needing a reset. But here's the thing, sunlight is free medicine. Yet, most seniors are kept indoors, behind curtains, in dim rooms with artificial light that confuses their brain. And families? They often think, well, they're safer inside. But the truth is, just 5 to 10 minutes of gentle morning light, on the porch, by a window, or walking to the mailbox, can transform energy levels, mood, and sleep. It's one of the simplest things to do. And one of the most overlooked. So tomorrow, try this. Before turning on the TV, before getting into that morning routine, just open the blinds. Step outside if you can. Let the morning light hit your face, your arms. Let your body remember, yes. A new day. Let's live it. Now, once the light resets your system, there's something even deeper that needs attention. Because the next habit goes inside your body, and it all starts with what you drink. Let's go there. Alright, so. You've woken up with a reason. You've stepped into the soft morning light, letting your body stretch back into the world. Now it's time to nourish from the inside. But not with coffee just yet. Not with toast or tea and sugar. Start with warm water. Simple. Gentle. Healing. Let me tell you a quick story. Mrs. Ada, 85 years old, living in a quiet home just outside town. Her mornings used to start with instant coffee and a biscuit. That's what she'd done for decades. But after a string of stomach issues and low energy, her granddaughter suggested something different. Every morning now, before anything else, she sips a mug of warm water with fresh lemon. No sugar, no fuss. Just warmth, citrus, and stillness. She swears it changed everything. I don't feel bloated anymore. My mind feels clearer. And honestly, it just makes me feel good about the day. There's real science behind this. As we age, our digestion slows down. Our organs need more help getting started in the morning. Think of warm lemon water like a gentle wake-up call for the gut. It hydrates, kickstarts metabolism, and helps flush out toxins that build up overnight while the body's been resting. And if lemon's too harsh? Try a calming herbal tea. Ginger, peppermint, chamomile. These aren't just cozy, they're anti-inflammatory, gut-soothing, and blood sugar-friendly. But here's where families sometimes go wrong. We assume hydration only matters during hot weather or exercise. But the truth is, the elderly are especially prone to morning dehydration. They wake up dry, dizzy, even confused, not from illness, but from a body craving water. And that dehydration? Over time, it quietly chips away at brain function, joint health, and organ strength. So before breakfast, before the news, before the day begins, just that one warm drink can set everything in motion. No pills. No powders. Just nature and consistency. Alright, so we've got purpose. We've got light. We've got warm hydration. Now it's time to move. Not run a marathon, not even a walk around the block yet. But the kind of gentle movement that tells your body, you're safe. You're strong. Let's flow today. Let's talk about that next. Now, let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw someone in their late 80s or 90s who still moves with ease? Who doesn't need help getting up from a chair? Who walks like their knees and hips still remember what freedom feels like? Chances are, they didn't get that way by accident. They probably do something very simple. They move, just a little, every morning. Before the day takes over, before stiffness sets in. They give their body permission to wake up. I remember a gentleman named Mr. Samuel. He's 90 years old, lives alone, and every morning he does a slow 5-minute stretching routine, right there on the side of his bed. He lifts his legs, rotates his ankles, raises his arms above his head, and leans side to side. Nothing fancy. No yoga mat. No gym gear. Just him, the morning light, and his breath. And when you ask him why, he'll chuckle and say, "If I don't move my body, it forgets how." And he's right. You see, as we age, joints tighten, muscles shorten, and balance starts to fade. But gentle movement each morning tells the nervous system, we're still in this. We're still capable. Keep sending strength here. You don't need intense exercise. You don't need a personal trainer. You just need a little rhythm. A little flow. Here's a few ideas to try with your loved one, or for yourself. Green circle ankle rolls in bed before standing up. Green circle seated twists in a sturdy chair. Green circle arm raises, shoulder circles, or even gentle side bends while brushing teeth. And if they're up for it, a short walk around the house or the garden can work wonders. Not just for the body, but for the mood. Because movement releases endorphins, natural feel-good chemicals that lift spirits and reduce pain. Now, what often happens is this: families assume their elderly parent doesn't want to move, or can't handle it. But the truth? They're often just waiting for someone to say, "Let's do it together." Just 5 minutes. Just one song. So tomorrow morning, offer a little nudge. Hold their hand. Put on their favorite old tune. And just move. Because the longer we stay still, the faster we fade. But even the smallest movement says, "I'm still here. I still matter." Now, we've woken up the body. But what about the mind? Because what we feed our brain in the morning is just as important. Let's talk about the next habit. Mental activation. And it might surprise you how simple it is. So, the body's awake now. The joints are moving. The lungs are open. But there's one part that needs just as much attention, maybe even more. The mind. Because here's something most people don't realize: as we age, the brain craves stimulation, not noise, not stress, but purposeful mental activity that says, "I'm still learning. I'm still alive." Let me tell you about Miss Bernice. She's 91, and every morning without fail, she sits by her little kitchen table and does two things. She reads one page from a devotional book, and then tackles the crossword in the daily paper with a pencil sharpened like a needle. She calls it, "My brain breakfast." And honestly, it's brilliant. Science shows us that engaging the brain in simple but focused activity early in the day helps maintain memory, reduce the risk of dementia, and even improve emotional stability. It doesn't have to be academic. It just has to be intentional. But here's what often happens. Families think the mind fades just because of age. But sometimes, it fades because it's been neglected. Because no one invites the elderly to think anymore. No one hands them a riddle. No one starts a discussion. No one says, "Tell me something from your childhood." But the truth is, the mind is like a garden: water it with words, challenge it with puzzles, nourish it with stories. And it will grow longer than you think. Here are a few easy ways to keep that mental spark alive in the morning. Purple circle: read a poem or a paragraph from a favorite book. Purple circle work on a word search, Sudoku, or crossword, just for fun. Purple circle recite affirmations or reflect on a prayer or quote of the day. Purple circle write down 3 things they remember from their past, anything. You'll be amazed how much more focused, alert, and happier they seem for the rest of the day. Because when the mind feels useful, the soul feels alive. And next, we're going to explore a habit that's so quiet, most people never even notice it. It doesn't involve moving or speaking. In fact, it's about doing absolutely nothing. Let's talk about the power of stillness. Now, this next habit. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't require movement. It won't show up on a Fitbit or be mentioned in most medical books. But for the ones who live long, peaceful, centered lives, it's part of their morning like the rising sun. I'm talking about a moment of silence. Of stillness. Of being present without rushing. Let me tell you about Mama Elise. She's 95 now. No smartphone. No social media. No chaos. Every morning, before she eats, before she even speaks, she sits quietly at her window. No music. No talking. Just her, a cup of tea, the breeze through the curtains, and the sound of birds outside. And when her grandson once asked her what she was doing, she simply said, "I'm listening to the day begin." That right there? That's wisdom. Because in a world where we're constantly told to go, do, respond, fix, there's something deeply healing about simply being still. And for the elderly, who often feel overwhelmed, forgotten, or overstimulated, a gentle pause in the morning can realign the heart, the mind, and even the body's stress levels. Scientifically, we now know that just 5 minutes of morning stillness can, brown circle lower blood pressure, brown circle reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, brown circle improve focus and emotional regulation. It could be quiet reflection. It could be a short breathing exercise. It could be closing your eyes and listening to the world as it is, not through a screen, not through a worry, just as it is. Here's the mistake people make. They assume stillness is laziness. That silence is empty. But in truth, stillness is where strength gathers. It's where the heart resets. Where the breath becomes your friend again. And for someone navigating the aches and griefs of aging, those few moments of peace in the morning can carry them through the rest of the day. So tomorrow, before the news comes on, before the house stirs, sit. Just sit. 5 minutes. No goal. No guilt. Just presence. And let that stillness remind you, you're here. And that's enough. Now, the final habit we're about to talk about is perhaps the most emotional, the most human, and the one that truly gives life its meaning, especially in our later years. Let's talk about connection. Because no one should start the day alone in silence of the wrong kind. Now, if there's one thing I've learned from spending time with those who've lived long, really long lives, it's that it's not the vitamins or the jogging shoes that keep people going. It's people. It's love. It's connection. See, we were never meant to go through life alone. Especially not the quiet mornings that can feel heavy with silence. That's why this final habit is so powerful. Start the day by connecting with another human being. Even if it's just for 30 seconds. Let me introduce you to Mr. Wallace. He's 92, lives alone since his wife passed, but every morning, at exactly 8:15, he calls his grandson. Just to say good morning. To hear a voice. To feel like he's still part of someone's day. And that call? It lights him up. That one, hello, reminds me I'm still loved, he says. And that's not just sentiment, that's science. Because social connection, especially in the morning, has been proven to, green circle lower the risk of depression, green circle reduce inflammation in the body, green circle boost memory and immune function, green circle even extend life expectancy. But here's the heartbreaking part. Many older adults wake up to silence that stretches from sunrise to sunset. Not because no one loves them, but because the world gets busy. And over time, that silence starts to whisper lies. You're forgotten. You don't matter. You're just a burden now. But the truth is, one moment of connection can rewrite that entire narrative. One phone call. One "I love you." One check-in. Even a neighbor waving through the window. Even a caregiver saying, "Good morning, how'd you sleep?" Even you, watching this video, deciding to send a voice note to your aging dad before your day gets busy. So if you're someone who's aging, reach out. If you're someone who loves someone aging, show up. Because connection isn't a luxury, it's a survival tool. And the heart that feels seen, lives longer. Alright, 7 habits. 7 gentle choices. None of them complicated. But together, they form a rhythm of life that builds longevity not just in years, but in joy. But before we close, let's take a moment to feel the weight of everything we've just covered, and why it matters so deeply. Take a breath with me for a moment. Not a rushed one. A slow, honest breath. Because what we've just talked about, these 7 simple morning habits, it's more than a list. It's a roadmap. A quiet, beautiful way to give yourself, or someone you love, a fighting chance at not just more years, but better ones. I know it's not easy. Watching someone you care about get older, seeing the shifts in their energy, their memory, the way they move or lose interest in things they used to love. It can break your heart in small pieces. And if you are that person feeling those changes in yourself, it's scary. It's frustrating. It can make you feel invisible in a world that keeps moving forward without waiting. But listen to me, you are not helpless. You are not too late. And these changes? They don't mean the story is over. They mean the next chapter needs a little more care. A little more love. And a little more intention, starting each morning. Because longevity isn't a mystery anymore. It's not just about genes or doctors or medication. It's about what you choose to do each day when you wake up. You now have the power to shape those moments. To give someone a reason to rise. To bring sunlight into their morning. To sit beside them in silence. To say, "Good morning," and really mean it. Maybe it's your mother. Maybe it's your husband. Maybe it's you. Whoever it is, I want you to remember this: every small habit is like planting a seed. And while it may not bloom overnight, with time, with love, with consistency, those seeds grow into years. Years of laughter. Years of dignity. Years of life that still feels worth waking up for. So don't let this just be another video you watch and forget. Let it be the one that makes you pick up the phone. Sit with someone in the light. Stretch your arms. Sip something warm. Say something kind. Because in the end, that's what keeps us alive. So, let's take a quiet moment to recap what we've learned today. The 7 morning habits that often show up in people who live well into their 90s, and live well, are: 1. Waking with purpose. 2. Stepping into natural morning light. 3. Starting the day with warm hydration. 4. Gentle movement or stretching. 5. Activating the mind, through reading, prayer, or puzzles. 6. Taking a moment of silence or stillness. 7. Connecting with another human being. These aren't big, expensive, overwhelming changes. They're small, sacred rituals. And done consistently, they don't just extend life. They deepen it. Now I want to hear from you. Seriously, let's talk in the comments. Speech balloon: which of these habits spoke to you the most? Which one do you already do? Or which one are you planning to try tomorrow morning? For yourself, or someone you love? Leave a comment below and let's start a conversation that might inspire someone else reading. Your story could be the reason someone tries a new habit and feels hope again. And if this video gave you something real, some comfort, some knowledge, maybe even just a moment of stillness, please take a second to hit that like button. It really helps this message reach others who may need it just as much as you did today. And hey, if you want more videos like this, more insights, more heartfelt guidance, more human conversations around aging and care, subscribe to Elder Talks Daily. We post every week to help you protect what matters most: your health, your family, your peace of mind. So thank you, for watching, for listening, for being here. Stay kind to yourself. Stay gentle with your mornings. And remember, aging isn't the end of the story. Sometimes, it's where the most beautiful part begins. I'll see you in the next video.